Right now at 6, a 7-figure settlement for a company accused of driving up rent prices across the country.
There needs to be much larger consequences.
The controversial program at the center of the suit and how cases could impact Bay Area renters. Plus, it's early, but the Bay Area is ahead of schedule when it comes to rainfall.
We need to be prepared for anything that can be thrown at us.
What it means for our water supply and how officials are getting ready for what may be still to come this winter. And later, we'll introduce you to a man and his dog separated after being swept from a South Bay encampment.
Leo, where's Leo? And they thought it was a family member.
How some local volunteers helped reunite them.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 6. We begin with a major win for California renters. The largest landlord in the country, Greystar, is paying the price, $7 million to be exact, for using a controversial price-setting program. So Greystar had been sued by 9 states, including California. It is all part of a larger antitrust lawsuit against a company called RealPage, which created the software. Prosecutors say RealPage's algorithms illegally drive up the cost of housing. So Berkeley is one of the cities in the process of banning the software. Our Amanda Harry spoke with a housing advocate there about what this settlement means for tenants.
America's largest landlord, Greystar, is facing consequences after the real estate giant was accused of colluding to increase rent prices.
It's absolutely important that we hold landlords accountable for this type of action.
Matthew Lewis is a renter himself, but also the secretary of the Berkeley Tenants Union. Greystar has 6 apartment complexes in Berkeley. When Lewis looked for his apartment, he says he stayed away from companies like Greystar. A multi-state antitrust lawsuit claims the company was illegally using algorithmic software sold by RealPage to share proprietary data to align prices with other property managers and push up rents.
I had to do a lot of work to find this, and it would have been much more difficult if all the landlords were using companies like RealPage to basically jack up their rents, because then it's going to be higher and higher and higher.
Last spring, the Berkeley City Council tried banning rent-setting algorithms, but then voted to push back the ban because RealPage filed a federal lawsuit against the city, arguing the ban violates its First Amendment rights. This week, Attorney General Rob Bonta announced a $7 million settlement with Greystar.
Even more important than that $7 million settlement is the commitment that Greystar is no longer going to be engaging in these market rigging processes.
Antitrust lawyer Lee Hepner says as part of the settlement, Greystar has agreed to stop using the software.
The effect of rent-fixing algorithms is to allow competing landlords to act as one. They mix their data behind the scenes, they align their pricing strategies, and they take the recommendations of an entity like RealPage to inflate rents and to eliminate competition from the market. And it really is that competition that we rely on to drive rents down.
Hepner says it resulted in tenants paying inflated rents for years. Greystar owns about 950,000 rental units nationwide. Lewis wants to see leaders do more to prevent this from happening again.
There needs to be much larger consequences, which is why it's so important for states and cities and also the federal government to pass laws explicitly banning this practice and making sure that there are significant penalties for these violations.
Greystar responded to the settlement saying, quote, "We're pleased this matter is resolved and remain focused on serving our residents and clients."
Berkeley's ban on rent pricing algorithms is slated to take effect next March. A number of other cities, including San Francisco, have also banned the software. All right now, the Oakland School District is holding a special board meeting to figure out how to cut $100 million from the budget. The district's business team is presenting different budget cut options, and parents will be able to give some feedback. The superintendent tells us while there are tough choices ahead, the district is steering clear of any school closures or mergers. The board will make a final decision on the cuts come December. All right, turning now to our weather. We've got some more rain rolling into the Bay Area tonight. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan, who's tracking what this means for the morning commute.
Jules, I don't think this is going to be as impactful as the past few storm systems, but wet roads likely for that morning commute. Here's the radar loop over the past 6 hours, and you can see the rain out over the Pacific making its way towards the North Bay coast, but you see the radar returns kind of fading out as they make their way closer to the coast. This first wave of moisture, most of it's going to evaporate on the way down, but more substantial rainfall is still back out over the Pacific. Let's take a look at that as we head through tonight and tomorrow, and we are going to see rain as we head through the nighttime hours. But this is not going to be as impactful for the Bay Area as it is for Southern California. They're going to be seeing more rain and the potential for some more localized flooding and potential for some debris flows around some of those burn scars left over from last year's wildfires, or last winter's wildfires to be more specific. Let's take a look at the local version. Futurecast through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning shows the rain holding off for a few more hours, but making its way in just before midnight and then moving from west to east across the Bay Area. Light to moderate rain showers. Virtually no flooding potential out of this system, but some lingering showers still throughout the day on Thursday before we dry things out at the end of the work week. See how long that dry pattern lasts. Coming up in the full forecast.
Paul, thank you. And we're getting a check of how the storms so far have made an impact on our water supply. Kelsey Thord has a look at where some of our Bay Area reservoirs stand and what could be coming this winter.
We are only a little over a month into the rainy season, but so far the water supply is off to a good start.
The map you see behind me is where we're at so far this year. October and November, we've seen some storms come across our area, and what that has done for us is allowed us to be upwards of 200, almost 250 to 300% of normal so far for the water year.
Reservoirs across the bay are already at higher levels than last year. Lexington Reservoir in the South Bay is currently at 42.5% capacity. That's compared to 39% capacity this same time last year. In the East Bay, the San Pablo Reservoir is 64% full, which is 107% of normal for this time of year. And in the North Bay, the spillway at Lake Lagunitas is flowing again. Storage capacity there is at nearly 80%. Officials say the first half of this winter will bring us a La Niña weather pattern. The second half, the weather will settle into more normal conditions. Meteorologists say that could spell a very rainy season ahead.
Last two times we've done this were winter 22 and 23. If you guys remember that was fun. And then, of course, winter 16-17. Which, if you remember that was crazy.
But because it is so early in the season still, meteorologists say it's too soon to say for sure whether or not we'll see one of those crazy wet winters. But officials in Santa Clara County aren't leaving anything to chance. Ahead of another rain system moving in, they held an event showcasing all of the equipment and supplies they use to help during storms. They also encouraged the public to make sure they are prepared for the wet season now before the worst of it arrives.
I'm asking every resident to take a few small steps that make a big difference. Check your emergency kit. Sign up for alerts. Know your flood zone. Adopt a storm drain if you can.
And while we have seen a wet October and November, officials want to be clear that these are all very early predictions. It won't be until early next year when they say they'll really get a picture of what they're dealing with.
Most of the times we're not really assessing it till the January, February months. That's when we typically see the biggest ARs, atmospheric rivers, and the most inflow to our reservoirs, because the hills, the areas that feed our reservoirs are still not yet completely saturated. So we have to wait for the hills to start running and actually get a lot of water coming down in.
Still, the advice is to prepare for the worst now, even if it doesn't come.
It's one of those things where every time we go into winter, we need to be prepared for anything that can be thrown at us. Because even in the driest and deepest of droughts that we're in, we can still get one whopper of an atmospheric river coming through and turn everything upside down. So if we're prepared for that one big storm, we're going to be prepared for them all.
Another way to measure water level is through the snowpack. It's way too early to check those levels right now. In fact, this is video from last winter of the state's Department of Water Resources conducting a snow survey in the Sierra. It typically happens each winter and early spring. Some other stories we are following. A woman in Martinez is accused of stabbing her daughter to death. Police arrested 36-year-old Brittany Kazee following a physical confrontation with her 19-year-old daughter. Officers responded to an apartment on Fig Tree Lane yesterday afternoon, where they found the victim unconscious in the parking lot. She was rushed to the hospital, where she later died. Kazee is now in jail on suspicion of murder. And the manager of an apartment complex in Sunnyvale behind bars tonight. Police say they discovered a stockpile of weapons and drugs inside an apartment near an elementary school and city playground. Investigators releasing these images showing several pistols, rifles, and a shotgun, along with what they say is $100,000 worth of meth and heroin. DA Jeff Rosen says the stash was found in the home and personal storage unit of 51-year-old Brett Maxwell, who he describes as running a, quote, thriving drug business. The DA's office says Maxwell is facing up to 25 felonies related to the possession of weapons and drugs for sale, so that could mean significant prison time if he is convicted. Still ahead here at 6, he was swept from a South Bay homeless camp and separated from his dog. How they found each other and some peace of mind with some help from local volunteers.
Little by little, I'm going to a schedule. Thanks for this space.
And a WNBA champion could soon be honored in a major way by the East Bay High School where she first became a star. It is a story about second chances. A San Jose man and his dog were separated for weeks after a medical emergency left him hospitalized. His pet nearly put up for adoption. Right there, that little guy. Len Ramirez tells us how 2 local organizations were instrumental in bringing the pair back together.
Smiles and wagging tails at the Humane Society of Silicon Valley, all because Carlos and his dog Leo are finally back together.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
They came to say thank you to the people who made this reunion possible.
He's doing good, healthier.
Just a few weeks ago, things looked very different. Carlos and Leo were among dozens of people swept from the encampment at Columbus Park in San Jose as the city cleared the area and moved residents into housing. Carlos was living there for several months and was driving to keep an appointment for interim housing when he suffered a serious medical emergency behind the wheel and blacked out.
They told me that I was saying a lot of times his name. Leo, where's Leo? And they thought it was a family member or something. But then me talking unconscious, my dog Puppy and Spanish and English, they understood what was going on.
But he didn't know where his best friend had gone. Animal control had him, and Leo was taken to the shelter, then transferred to the Humane Society.
I don't know, maybe he was adopted already, or he passed away, or something.
You're such a good doggy. Oh.
That's when Home First stepped in. The housing nonprofit learned long ago the importance of keeping clients and their 4-legged family members together. 80% of the people coming off the streets have pets, higher than the general population.
He didn't know where his dog was, and so the case manager came to me and we started looking at the Humane Society, making phone calls, trying to find his dog, because someone's animal helps with your mental health as well. Especially Carlos had his dog for over 6 years and was attached to his dog.
But Leo had health issues too, an infection and 2 bad teeth that had to be removed. That's when a medical staff member recognized Leo from attending a previous outreach clinic for unsheltered pets and realized this wasn't just any stray.
If we hadn't had that kind of knowledge and understanding and that proximity to Carlos and Leo and understanding who they were and who the dog was, yes, we might have very well just kind of continued him through the process on through adoption, which would have been super hard to reverse for all the reasons people understand. But we didn't. We connected the dots.
The reunion finally happened here at Carlos's new interim housing community, and now Carlos and Leo have their own room.
At your lado, Papa. But yeah, this is our room.
Leo's got his favorite toys, and Carlos has peace of mind.
So cute. Both Carlos and Leah, they're ready for a new start. Carlos is looking for work and hopes to move into permanent housing with Leo soon. It is already set to be a big year for sports in the South Bay, and now concerts will soon be coming to San Jose's PayPal Park. The city approved a proposal that will allow the venue to host up to 15 concerts per year. The terms allow the venue to host concerts between 9 in the morning and 11 at night. City leaders say allowing concerts could increase sales and revenue for nearby businesses. It comes as Santa Clara County is already gearing up for Super Bowl 60, the men's Final Four, and the FIFA World Cup. East Bay native Sabrina Ionescu has racked up plenty of honors in her basketball career, including a WNBA title and an Olympic gold medal. Now her alma mater could immortalize her name on campus. Tonight, the Acalanes Union High School District could vote to rename the basketball court at Miramonte High School after her. The original proposal called for naming the entire gymnasium in her honor, though a school board committee recommended just the court instead. The district's governing board will discuss both ideas tonight. We'll keep you posted. Coming up, a full forecast to certainly be thankful for. Paul is back with a look ahead leading up to Thanksgiving.
Time for a check of the forecast, and we have our next round of rain on the way as we head through the rest of tonight, our last round of rain for a while. But let's take a look at First Alert Doppler, and for the moment, we are dry across the Bay Area. You have to look up at the coast of the North Bay to see a couple of showers trying to hit the coast of Sonoma County. The bulk of that moisture just kind of on the edge of the map at the moment, out over the Pacific. But that is going to be moving in as we head through the rest of tonight. Let's take a look at Futurecast. This just takes us through midnight, and it shows the showers moving in, becoming a bit more widespread even before midnight. I think this is probably the most aggressive forecast model. There are others that lag maybe an hour or two behind it, but just want to give you enough time to adjust any outdoor plans later this evening if you're going to be out and about. As we head through the rest of tonight, the rain will continue. This takes us from midnight through 5 a.m., when most of us are going to be getting light to occasionally moderate rain showers. But even the heaviest rainfall rates are not going to be substantial enough to lead to any kind of flooding potential across the Bay Area. I would still be prepared for wet roads for the Thursday morning commute, but the rain is going to shift farther and farther off to the east. We're still going to see some lingering leftover showers through about midday, but after that, it does look like things are going to dry out a little bit during the afternoon. A couple splash and dash showers are still going to be possible, but there'll be far more miss than hit during the afternoon on Thursday. So how much rain are we talking about? The forecast models still showing some varying amounts, but generally I think about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 inch of rain is the most likely scenario for most locations. Again, take the specific numbers with a grain of salt. We're looking at the overall pattern, not the specific down to what the 1/100th of an inch in any particular location. This falls into the bucket of beneficial rainfall without that flooding potential. And it's the last chance of rain that we're going to see for a while. After those lingering showers tomorrow, the rain chart is pretty blank as we head through the weekend and as we approach Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day, which is just beyond the 7-day forecast, does look dry as well. Dog walking weather for tomorrow? Well, luckily, Hootie and Maisie Day have a comfy spot staked out on the couch to endure those morning showers. Not that there's a lot to endure there, but skies should gradually clear as we head through the day. Temperatures are still going to be on the cool side, running about 4 or 5 degrees below average by tomorrow afternoon. So by the afternoon hours, we're going to see highs struggling up into the upper 50s and low 60s. Those numbers are short of what's normal for this time of year, 60 degrees exactly in San Jose, and that'll be one of the warm spots around the region. In fact, the warmest spot is actually going to be Petaluma, not usually a location that we associate with the warmest temperatures on the map, but you're going to make it up to 62 degrees by tomorrow afternoon. Skies over the North Bay should clear out just a little bit faster, so you are some of the coolest spots today. You'll be some of the warmest spots on the map by tomorrow. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, and once again, we just have to show you one because everybody's going to have pretty much the same temperatures through the next 7 days, within 5 degrees of one another. So a few upper 50s at the coast, but generally low to mid 60s for the rest of the Bay Area. Plenty of sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then just a few fair weather clouds Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The next hint of a rain chance doesn't move in until after Thanksgiving. Maybe the following weekend to complicate travel plans, but that's very speculative at this point.
I approve that forecast.
Yes, next weather for Thanksgiving, thumbs up.
Nice. All right, Paul, thank you. When we come back, how you can support the first food bank in California as it looks to lift up neighbors this holiday season. This holiday season, CBS News Bay Area is teaming up with local food banks for our annual Food for Bay Area Families Drive. Our Veronica Macias is in Watsonville with a look at how the state's oldest food bank is helping people in Santa Cruz County.
We're here at Second Harvest Food Bank of Santa Cruz County. They have the distinction of being the first food bank in the entire state of California. Right now I'm with Michelle Bassi, who's the Chief Development Officer for the food bank. Tell us about the ways you're getting people to contribute, especially in such hard times.
Yeah, we're really involving the entire community, and it's a county-wide effort right now with our Holiday Food and Fun Drive, and it's being led by two really incredible gentlemen, Chris Murphy with the Santa Cruz Warriors and Carl Rice with Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. They're doing a really great job of rallying the troops to get everybody ready to go.
And I can imagine just having that ask right now of people when we've seen so many hardships. How do you get through those barriers and this challenging time?
Yeah, we understand it's hard for everybody, and every penny counts. $1 equals 3 healthy meals. So any amount of money helps us. And if you can't donate money, that's fine, we understand, but come volunteer your time. It's a really great opportunity to have a great time and do good.
Yeah, these volunteers back here have definitely showed us that you can make a difference by volunteering your time. But if you can donate, please do so. Go to kpix.com/give or scan that QR code on your screen.
Also, be sure to join us for our holiday special. It's airing Christmas night at 7 p.m. You can see the inspiring stories behind the effort to feed families across the Bay Area and what it takes to fight food insecurity. We'll also show you the impact your donation has to keep food on the table for our neighbors, and we thank you. The CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes with CBS News Bay Area at 7 just for you. We'll see you then.